down for the face, cut the grass so I can see the snakes. Bitch, I see ya. Bitch, you know I see ya. I just bought a new drum for the chopper. I just bought a new drum for the chopper. In the trap house getting head, eating lobster. Real recognize real, and you niggas is imposters. Nobody fuck with your music cause you garbage. You can't fuck with me and bitch that more than obvious. Used to keep all my dough in shoe boxes. Now we got bank accounts and we keep say deposits. High off the weed and syrup, poor pop the same. Flexing hard like a bodybuilder, like I won a Grammy. Make my first 50 grand trapping off the porch. Rhyme so big, smokers call them Asher Boys. Trap jumping like Jordan, real goons, Sweden boys. Whole team rough and rugged like corduroy. It's your baby mama favorite. Told her, pay me, keep the pussy. Nigga, man, tell your bitch I call that whole luggage.
Brought my bad bitch a couple sex toys. They caught a mirror on the plane that was a decoy. Oh, your bitch fell in love with a D-boy. I'm about to blow the fuck up, call me C4. I'ma tell a lie to the judge. Leave the courtroom and meet up with the plug. Bust it down in the tub. Couple homies saying cuz. They like, where you from though? It's still 20 blood. Ain't shit changed but the bitches. Fuck a nigga bitch like Derek Fisher. Trapping up my Instagram. The fans double tap my pictures. Hope they like a nigga filters. $2 million cash in the bins. My cousin gave me syrup, I've been hooked ever since. My cousin gave me syrup, I've been hooked ever since. If it don't make dollars, then it don't make sense.
I just bought a new drum for the chopper. I just bought a new drum for the chopper. In my trap house getting head, eating lots of real, recognize real, and your niggas is imposters. Nobody fuck with your music cause you weed ready. You can't fuck with me and bitch that more than obvious. Used to keep all my dough in shoe boxes. Now we got bank accounts and we keep say deposits. High off the weed and syrup, poor pop the same. Flexing hard like a bodybuilder, like I won a Grammy. Make my first 50 grand trapping off the porch. Rhyme so big, smokers call them Asher Boys. Trap jumping like Jordan, real goons, Sweden boys. Whole team eating rough and rugged like corduroy. It's your baby mama favorite. Told her, pay me, keep the pussy. Nigga, better tell your bitch I caught that whole looking.
What's up in the building? Those who tuned in on this early show. I just got up this morning. I saw some shit about Joe Biden, and I had to do a skit on it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm doing too many skits, and y'all ain't caught up yet. Maybe I should slow down on the skits and wait till y'all catch up. I hit 3 yesterday. I got 2 more skits landing in the cup. Maybe I need to slow down. Maybe I'm hitting y'all with too many skits upside the head with too much information. Boom, pop, boom, boom, boom. Maybe you ain't got that much time in the day to watch all these fucking videos, because I can put them together like clockwork, damn it. I can come together and put videos together and be like the Channel Fox News or CNN News or MSNBC News, and I can come up with stories and reports and truths and all that in a matter of that much time. But while we on here, y'all, have anybody heard of the new IRS property income tax for stolen goods? Have anybody put a 1 in the chat if you heard about the IRS income tax for stolen goods? That means shit you done stole. Did anybody heard of that shit? Put a 1 in the chat if you heard of it. I know it sounds suspicious, like what in the hell is the IRS income tax for stolen goods? What in the fuck do that mean? Right? Mike Lisa, have you heard of it? Jerry Hogan, have you heard of it? When I'm going to do another Feeding the Homeless video, I should do one real soon. I got to come up on some money. Matter of fact, if you like this channel, you want to keep these videos going and keep the skits going and coming in as usual and shit like this, don't forget to donate, because this channel run no donations, not on views. I wish I could get some money on some damn views, but I can't. I'm shadow banned. People can't even find me. I wake up and look at my comments and shit. I see somebody new every day. Like, where you been? Well, I ain't seen you in a minute. I've been making videos all this motherfucking time. You still ain't saw me? I must be getting shadow banned. People on Facebook saying they ain't see me. Instagram saying they where have I been and shit like that. And I'm like, I ain't been nowhere. I've been doing these damn skits. But anyway, do anybody know? Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I heard of it. It's allowed to carry burners on them now. Yes, I hate about the tax a while back. I heard about the tax a while back. Heard about that. Okay, if you ain't heard about it, let me play it for you.
In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we're looking into an image going around social media that some are questioning. It appears to be a guidance from the IRS claiming that you must report any income from illegal activities such as dealing drugs. And if you steal property, you must report its fair market value unless you return it. And this is all true. The IRS's 2021 federal income tax guide clearly states you must report anything you steal unless you return it to its rightful owner in the same year. And income from illegal activities, such as money from dealing illegal drugs, must be included in your income on Schedule 1. If you would like to submit a question to us, just...
Can you imagine someone going into the income tax, man, talking about, I want to put all the drugs I sold this year on my income tax. And my girl right here, she want to put all the pussy she been selling on income tax too. Oh yeah, my uncle, my crackhead uncle, he want to put all the car radios on his income tax too. So how much we gonna get back? 3 years? What the fuck you talking about? I thought we was gonna get some money back for putting our stolen goods and pussy and rocks on our income tax returns. Huh? How in the hell? What kind of? That's a setup. What you gonna put on your on the questionnaire? You gonna say occupation? I serve rocks. What? Occupation? I sell a little pussy. Occupation? I'm the weed man. Occupation? I run up in the Macy's and steal shit. You mean to tell me if I stole some shit out of the Marshalls, that I gotta go return all the shit after I wear? You know what? I was gonna put this on my income tax, but they told me to return it. You know what I'm saying? Or else I gotta put on my income tax. So I'm gonna return this shit, even though I wore it a couple of times and washed it a couple of times and went to your club and turned up in this shit and tried to sell it. I'm still gonna give it back to you because I want to put this shit on my income tax that I gave all my stolen goods back. Huh? Occupation, Hunter Biden. The weed man. Hey, I'm the weed man. I want to put all my weed, all the pounds of weed I served on my income tax. That shouldn't even make sense. Now, right, we got Joe Biden. Who heard of what Joe Biden is planning on doing today? Who in the hell heard of what Joe Biden planning on doing or doing for the crackheads and the drug users today? Do anybody know? It just came out. The DOH just gave, the DOJ just gave $30 million to a program. Do anybody know what it is? He's doing something. Do anybody know what it is? Do anybody know what the Joe Biden administration gave $30 million for? 30 million motherfucking dollars. And I ain't talking about no immigrants. I'm talking about what in the hell did Joe Biden administration just give up $30 million to a program for? Just now, just like 16 hours ago, the DOJ just came out with it. The meth pipes and crack pipes and all that. Who said that? Jared Hogan said that. Jared Hogan said, look, Biden administration, right? Biden administration fund. Refresh this shit right here. Refresh. Okay, we refreshed it, right? That must be Hunter Biden hand right there. It's Hunter Biden hand, right? Biden administration Biden administration to fund programs to hand out crack pipes, right? New York, the U.S. Department of Health and Services reported seeking to give grants to programs that hand out crack pipes to drug addicts as a part of program to keep drugs users safe. The idea is to limit infections among users. A 30 million billion, as Joe Biden probably say, a 30 million billion Biden administration grant program include money for nonprofits to purchase safe smoking kits. Supplies, according to a report in the Washington Free Bacon. What the fuck is a free beacon? The pipes will also hopefully convince people to smoke instead of injecting drugs because injections are reportedly risky. San Francisco and Seattle have tried to crack pipe kit distribution programs, but was denied by the Trump program. I'm just going to add that shit in. News of the pipe program came the same day as the Justice Department signaled that it might be willing to allow safe injection sites for people to use heroin and other drugs. The first official authorization of safe injection site opened in New York in November. The two facilities, which they call overdose prevention centers, provide a monitored place for drug users to partake with staffers, supply, and hand on reverse overdose. Advocates have hailed them as a way to curb the scourge of overdose deaths. We don't want people to overdose, so we don't give them a place, so they can do their cocaine. The New York Times so far have intervened in more than 125 overdoses among the 640 users, many of whom have multiple visits, according to One Point New York City, the organization running them. What? You mean they're going to be handing out crack pipes? Huh? Remember, Joe Biden used to be big on the war on drugs. He was locking motherfuckers up for everything. Now you mean to tell me the Biden administration is going to be handing out crack pipes? Do that even make sense? How they going to be handing out crack pipes?
Harm to the black community.
How they going to hand out crack pipes? How the hell they going to hand out crack pipes in the black community? Huh, man? Like they're making it like a fast food service or something. Homeless people are gonna be using it as a resting spot. You're gonna be having crackheads stealing shit around the neighborhoods and stuff like that. Some people say it's good. It's gonna stop people from getting infections and all that old shit. But you advocating drug use. You're advocating, and this is right. And this is what he said. It's in the name of equity to blacks. So you are calling blacks crackhead. If you read any other news article, it say inequity to blacks. Black equity. We don't need no equality like that. You can give us some loans. You can give some money. Why are you giving equity to crackheads? They don't need the equity. They're not going to do shit with it. You give them $30 million for equity, and you're not giving $30 million to kid programs inside of black neighborhoods and stuff like that. You're giving them to nonprofit organizations so they can buy pipes and have staffs to watch the people who do drugs. But you can't hire staff and people like that to watch the kids. Huh? That $30 million could be going to more after-school programs, more people who can watch kids and safer neighborhoods and shit like that. You don't need to be donating no money to no motherfucking crackheads. Who wrote this bill? Hunter Biden? Hunter Biden like, you know what, Pops, you gonna have to put something up in there for my people. You mean you done something for the transsexuals, you done something for the gay people, you done something for the Hispanics, you done something for the Asians, now you done something for the crackheads. And that's what you call art equity. How in the fuck? We know y'all want to smoke crack. We know y'all need a place to smoke it at. We know you're tired of buying syringes and stuff like that. We know, but we want the world and the environment and our Build Back Better plan. You know what I'm saying? We want to build crackheads back better. We want to help this. Next, they're going to be putting vitamin C in crack. Watch. I'm telling you, look. Don't buy your drugs from the street. Buy your drugs from us. Right? We already got the site. We're going to have legal drugs. And we're going to experiment on it, right? We're going to have drugs that make you go to work. We're gonna have rocks, you know what I'm saying, that make you want to lift weights. We're gonna have rocks that'll make you go to sleep. We're gonna have all kind of rocks. We're gonna have rocks with vitamin D and zinc in it. We're gonna have rocks with the Trump juice up in there. Smoke this rocks and you vaccinated. We're gonna have diet rocks for those who want to lose weight but don't want to lose their teeth. We're gonna have all kind of rocks. Huh? And they're going to be free. Come and get your free rocks. We're going to have heroin, right, that gives you extra strength. It's gonna taste like coffee. But I want to show you the difference between Joe Biden war on crime now, when he's letting basically criminals and drug dealers and gun people and gun shooters and murderers and all that shit go free, and his crime bill back in 94. And a couple of people had a problem with that. A couple of people was apologizing for that, but not Joe Biden. This is the racist president. Look, this is the most racist president in the history of presidencies. And you can tell by his policies now. How in the fuck you don't give black people equity for crack? Let's roll the tape and let's see how Joe Biden and the Democrats talked about crime in 1994. I'm going to rename this shit Bernie Sanders versus Joe Biden. Roll it!
He's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community.
One step is you must take back the streets. And you take back the streets by more cops, more prisons, more physical protection for the people. I hope this crime bill, when it passes, the Biden-Hatch crime bill, as it becomes law, God willing, I hope that we will have ended once and for all this notion that is a hangover from the 60s, that somehow Democrats are weak on crime and Democratic presidents are weak on crime and Republicans are tough on crime.
Remember back then, Joe was trying to put it on extra. It's been a big rumor that the Democrats are weak on crime and the Republicans are tough on crime. But I'm not. I'm Joe Biden. Right? This is when Joe Biden, he said it got to be more prison to lock people up. He wasn't lying. Joe Biden wasn't talking about letting people out. He was talking about locking people up. This is the real Joe Biden. Don't be fooled by the Joe Biden now. It's all a fucking lie. It's all a facade.
More capital punishment. What we're discussing now is an issue where some of our friends are saying we're not getting tough enough on the criminals.
Bernie Sanders was going after Joe Biden like, hold on, this is a bullshit. It's a war on black people. Now, I don't agree with everything Bernie says, right? I agree with some of the things he said, but in this instance, he was right. And when Joe Biden was asked about the crime bill, he lied in front of America, right? He lied about the effect it had on it. He lied about its importance. He lied about how racist it was and all of that in your face.
What's your view on the crime bill that you wrote in 1994, which showed prejudice against minorities? Where do you stand today on that?
Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong opposition to this so-called crime prevention bill.
Bobby Rush.
You're not the only one. Bobby Rush apologized for it. Bobby Rush said, because Bobby Rush is black, but he expressed and said what happened in the crime bill and why he regretted his vote and shit like that and what it done to the black community. Because evidently he got black people in his family and it affected black family. The crime bill didn't affect Joe Biden's family because everybody in Joe Biden's family got the fuck off.
Rush, member of Congress, said the other day, I'm ashamed I voted for the 94 crime bill.
I am ashamed of my vote.
You ashamed of that bill?
Not at all. I sincerely apologize.
Joe Biden not ashamed.
By God, I apologize to my community, to my family.
Matter of fact, I drafted the bill, as you remember.
I know that.
The truth is, every major crime bill since 1976 that's come out of this Congress, every minor crime bill has had the name of the Democratic senator from the state of Delaware, Joe Biden, on that bill.
Every crime bill that came out of the Senate had Joe Biden's name on that bill. So that means he don't give a fuck what it was, minor, felony, or what it was. It had Joe Biden's name on it, right? And it was targeted towards black. It was targeted towards Mexicans. It was targeted towards underprivileged people. It wasn't targeted towards the rich. It wasn't targeted at white folks. It was targeted towards black folks. We need more prisons for black folks. We need more time for black folks. I don't apologize for this bill. You forgot I wrote the motherfucker. How I'm going to apologize? And I wrote it. I don't give a fuck what it did to the black community. I'm proud of it. That's what he basically said. I don't give a fuck. Everybody else apologizing. He said he's proud of it.
That was the worst vote, as I look back over the years, that I've taken since I've been in the Congress.
We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shot.
That was the worst bill he ever voted for since he been in Congress. But not for Joe Biden. Remember, Joe Biden said he's proud of that bill. Everybody apologizing for that bill. But Joe Biden not.
It was a vote that really was accompanied with a lot of hope that we will finally be able to deal with not only the issue of crime in our community, devastating crime, but that we will also be able to do those things and have those programs and policies to deal with the other kinds of issues, other problems in our community.
In the meantime, an awful lot of people were jailed for minor drug crimes after the
Exactly right.
Was it a mistake to support it?
Yes, it was. But here's where the mistake came.
And what happened with the crime bill and its implementation was that there was too much of a focus, too many resources on locking them up, but no resources on love and compassion.
And that's coming from Joe Biden. Too much concern on locking them up, but no concern of love and passion. Lock them up and throw away the key. That's how you solve the problem. Huh? That's how you lock them up and throw away the fucking key. Think about it. This is the real Joe Biden. It's not, oh, I'm going to be soft on crime. No. This is the real Joe Biden. He locking niggas up. This other Joe Biden is a facade. He's a puppet. He's not doing none of his policy. Joe Biden used to be tough on the border, tough on immigrants, right? Evidently, he was tough on crime. He wrote the 94 crime bill. He was tough on all kind of shit. But now all of a sudden, he soft on it. But he was proud of it back then. It's still affecting black folks today. It's still people talking about overturning the 94 crime bill. But now Joe Biden here in White House, his whole tune has changed.
Now, earlier this year, a South Carolina voter told Chelsea, quote, I think a lot of African Americans want to hear, you know what, we made a mistake. Chelsea said she's heard you apologize, but went on to say that if the voter hadn't heard it, then, quote, it's clearly insufficient. Do you regret your advocacy for the crime bill?
Well, look, I supported the crime bill. My husband has apologized. He was the president who actually signed it.
She just snitched on her husband. Like, you know what? My husband actually was the motherfucker that signed it. But now she's been talking about how racist it was and how white people need to recognize how racist it was, right? All of a sudden she want to say it's racist, and all of a sudden she want to talk about white people and how white people are responsible for the 94 crime bill.
Senator Sanders
what about
voted
you,
for
Senator?
it. I'm sorry for the consequences that were unintended and that have had a very unfortunate impact on people's lives. I've seen the results of what has happened in families and in communities. That's why I chose to make my very first speech a year ago on this issue, Errol, because I want to focus the attention of our country and to make the changes we need to make. And I also want people, especially I want white people.
I want white people
to recognize that there is systemic racism. It's also in employment, it's in housing, but it is in the criminal justice system as well.
The justice system that you was a part of, your husband, you, Joe Biden signing the law, right? This was a part. You was a part of the system. She want white people to recognize it. No, bitch. You need to recognize it, not us, not the white people. You, bitch. You the one signed the bill. My husband signed it, and I supported it. But I need white people to understand that it's systemic racism. Okay, bitch, you understand it first. Before you try to explain it to them, you signed the bill, ho. They didn't sign it. Stop blaming it on white people. Talking about they need to understand.
And as a result, we have devastated our communities, devastated our families, devastated our futures.
Huh? Joe Biden done all of that. Devastated our families. What you think? Look, you don't think abortion and prison and drugs is two of the biggest downfalls of black population, black whatever you want to call it, you know what I'm saying, in the history of the United States. It's even worse than slavery. It's worse. Look, all this shit is, look, you don't think drugs and prison and abortion is worse than slavery? Prison lock niggas up and throw away the key, give them no chance of rehabilitation, have them come back out, do all kind of crimes, and it's a revolving door, right? Come out, society treat them fucked up because they got a record. You can't get certain jobs. You got to fight 3 times as hard to get the same opportunities as one person that ain't got to fight as hard as you. So it's a fucked up situation. Abortions have killed more black people than guns and drugs and diseases and all kind of shit. I'm talking about millions of people, millions of babies that could have been doctors, lawyers, athletes, presidents, Congress people, fathers, mothers, all kind of shit. Gone. And look how drugs ravage in the community. And now you're talking about, okay, drug is ravaging the community. Over 100,000 people died off of fentanyl overdoses last year. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to help them overdose, right? Or help them stop overdosing, but help them keep on doing the drugs and open up crack houses, right? In the name of equality, right? What if a female come up in there pregnant? Like, you know, and don't tell nobody. Like, it's all kind of things that can happen. Drug is still a drug, and there's still things that can happen to your body. They get high, go out there, hurt somebody, kill somebody. You talking about the things they doing while they're inside. You're not talking about the shit they're gonna do while they're outside before they get high or after. That's where the bullshit come in. Then what they doing by getting high, what they done to get them drugs, and what they gonna do after they smoke them.
We must take back the streets. It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents. It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter or not whether or not they had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society.
Right? And right? You see how he was saying socialize into the fabric of society. I want to bring up who point was that, right? It said somebody would say slaves were actually taken care of and were allowed to make babies there. I wouldn't say the taken care of part, right? You know what I'm saying? It was fed, clothed, and housed and all that, you know. But if you want to compare it to prison is the same way. You get fed, clothes, and you get housed, right? You get degraded. You're less than human. You got to spread your ass. You got to walk in lines. It's the same thing. You got to work for pennies on the dollar, right? It's basically the same thing. You're giving up slave labor because you're working for 25 or 50 cents a day, right? Just enough to buy you toothpaste, soap, and a couple of packs of noodles, right? That's slavery. You can't leave, and you can't have no kind of human contact. Think about this, right? If you don't have nobody visit you in prison, like I didn't, right? Like in 3 years, right? There's no way you can have any kind of physical contact. Every kind of physical contact you have is a violation, and mostly by a man. Bend over, spread your cheeks. Let me search you here. Let me search you there. Right? Let me grab on this. Let me grab on that. You know, you don't get no kind of, you know, like any kind of hugs or, you know, just a pat on the head or a rub on the back, right? And that hardens people, right? You don't have none of that shit in prison, right? I mean, in slavery, you still had a chance to have families and babies and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? But it was a fucked up situation, but at least motherfucking families was together. Now families apart. And in prison, putting them apart for long periods of time for mistakes. Joe Biden.
And you can compare what happened with the crime bill and with the reaction. Well, let me just say this. Crack cocaine and the crime bill were the two worst issues, problems, catastrophes that the black community has suffered through in the last 50 years.
And that's what he talking about. I mean, probably longer than that, because he probably talking about the Watch Rise, you know, and the civil rights movements and stuff like that. But crack cocaine and things like that was the worst thing that happened to the black community. And now you're letting that shit flood in over the borders with fentanyl and there's new drugs, crystal meth, and all kind of shit. It ain't just crack cocaine no more. It's all kind of drugs. Even Jim Kleinburn didn't even go for that shit. And Kleinburn was against the 94 crime bill, but he voted against certain parts. He voted for certain parts of it, but he knew the whole of it was racist. Kleinburn said it. Jim Kleinburn said it. The motherfucker who got Joe Biden into office.
Oh, hey, Jim Kleinburn. Hey, how are you?
When I ran for the House of Representatives in 1992, I knew about two pieces of legislation that had gone on before I ever got here.
Drugs are menacing our society. They're threatening our values and undercutting our institutions.
In 1986, the so-called war against drugs created mandatory minimums, established a 100-to-1 ratio for crack to powder cocaine.
101 ratio. Think about that. They changed the law to 101 ratio. That's how, if you get caught with cocaine, it's a minor offense. You know, that's a white drug. But if you get caught with crack, that's a major drug because they're going to charge you with manufacturing, distributing, you know, they're going to hit you with the class 1 drug, whatever, and all that shit, right? But drugs back then was different. Now you get caught with something, you go to a program or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Back then you get caught with something, you go to prison for long periods of time. 5 years, 6 years, 7 years for a nook of rock. Imagine how much tax money was spent on somebody going to jail for a nook of rock who just wanted to smoke it. 7 years. You don't spend $200,000 on this dude for a nook of rock.
And put in mandatory minimums. Now, mandatory minimums were put in 86. They were applied to first-time offenders in 1988.
This is crack cocaine. It could easily have been heroin or PCP. It's as innocent looking as candy.
But it's not as innocent as candy. This motherfucker got a bag. I mean, they probably had a party after this shit. That looked like some of the best cocaine in the world. And George Bush got in his hand like, this is cocaine. After this, we finna smoke this shit. Where's Hunter Biden?
But it's turning our cities into battle zones. And it's murdering our children.
In a nutshell, the president's plan doesn't include enough police officers to catch the violent thugs.
Now he's talking about defund the police. Now, back then it wasn't enough police. He ordered 100,000 extra police, but now he like defund the police. He's not ordering no police. Like, oh, what if they retire? They retire. I'm not with defund the police, but the motherfuckers retiring.
Not enough prosecutors to convict them, not enough judges to sentence them, and not enough prison cells to put them away for a long time.
Huh? He wanted more judges, more officers, more courts, and he wanted more time. Huh? This was the original Joe Biden. What happened? This is the racist Joe Biden that destroyed the black community for years.
And when I ran in 1992, I talked about how bad I thought that legislation was. I was reamed. People took me to task for being against that, because the public was for it.
But for simple, pragmatic reasons. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now.
The predators 15 years from now. They would become the predators. Remember, Joe Biden called them predators, called black people predators.
And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that. He said it, super predators.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets.
And they have never lived that down. 1994, your crime bill, the super predators.
Mr. Speaker, let us be honest. This is not a crime prevention bill. This is a punishment bill, a retribution bill, a vengeance bill.
Huh? A vengeance bill. This is not this is not no reform bill. This is a vengeance bill. Bernie Sanders said this bill is basically racist, right? That's what he was saying. It's basically racist. This whole bill.
And they have never lived that down. 1994.
The whole bill is racist.
The crime bill, the super predators.
Mr. Speaker, let us be honest. This is not a crime prevention bill. This is a punishment bill, a retribution bill, a vengeance bill.
We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shot.
I absolutely apologize for voting for that bill. I repudiate not the spirit, but the details of that bill.
It was racist.
We have not accomplished anything other than further destruction of our communities.
We didn't accomplish nothing but further destruction of our community. You don't think it was designed that way? Just like everything the Democrats say they designed is for the benefit of black people, but it's actually for the destruction of black people, like the welfare system don't allow black women to get married and don't allow black men to get in the house. The education system that they so-called put in, the food stamp program, all this shit, the cradle to the grave, the Build Back Better, all this shit, everything that the Democrats do for black people end up fucking the black people. The nuclear family, they destroyed the shit out of that with the welfare system. That's why them bitches from Black Lives Matter say they don't really care about the welfare, the nuclear family, because the Democrats already destroyed the shit. The nuclear family is a man and a woman in the house. And if you on the motherfucking system, a man can't be in the house, which destroys the nuclear families. Democrats done that. Abortion clinics in every hood called Planned Parenthood. Well, ain't nobody planning on having been no motherfucking parent when they go up into the building. They should call it Unplanned Parenthood. You know what I'm saying? Because you go in this motherfucker, you not going to be planning on no parenthood. Fuck you gonna call an abortion clinic Planned Parenthood? You should call that shit Planned Assassinations or Planned Murders or some shit like that. Not no Planned Parenthood. You ain't no parent. You're not finna go up in there and get counseled on keeping your baby. You don't go up in there and get counseled on why it's okay to destroy it. It's okay. It's gonna get better. You're gonna be all right. Everyone does it. It's for your health. You don't want to bring your baby into the world under these circumstances. Everything the Democrats done is destroying the black community. And y'all go for it. Oh yeah, that sounds good. The welfare system sound good. The voting rights system sound good. All this shit sound good. And they fuck you every time. The 94 crime bill sounds good. Oh, yeah, we're going to clean up the black community. We're going to do this. Come on. What did it do? It hired more police, build more prisons, build more courts, hire more prosecutors. You go up in there, you ain't got a chance. There's plenty of innocent people up in there, but you ain't got a chance. This motherfucker done hired more DAs than he hired public defenders to defend people. You got public defenders up in there handling 500 cases. He don't give a fuck about neither one of them. You got the DA coming up in there, he got 500 cases, and he want to run through the shit. He don't give a fuck about neither one of them. Either take this 5 years, or we gonna find you guilty and give you 20. How many niggas gonna say no to that? When you got the DA, you got the public defender, All of them against you. And then you go to court, you're going to have 12 motherfuckers don't know anything about you, judge you. That 5 years sound hella good. Because if I go to court, I know I'm going to lose because I ain't got no paid lawyer. This is a dump truck. The DA is going to lie on me, and they're going to believe his ass, and I'm going to jail for 20. So you know what? I'm going to take this 5, even though I didn't do this shit. I have no proof. I have no evidence. Or I have no support on proving otherwise. It destroyed the black community. I was part of this shit. They was doing shit like we had racist police out here. When they talking about hiring police, we hired different police like the Rampart Division. That was through the Joe Biden funding, which training day was based off of, right? You had a lot of them road police that was out here in Los Angeles. It wasn't just Rampart. Right? It was a gang of different divisions had their own line of gangsters and shit like that because they was hiring everybody off the street. You want to be a police officer, you know what I'm saying? Come and take the motherfucking test and you'll be a police officer in 3 motherfucking months. They was hiring everybody, anybody, gang members, extras, you know what I'm saying? None of that. They didn't do no background checks. We need officers. And them officers came in with attitudes. They came in robbing motherfuckers. They came in with a gangster mentality. We're gonna take your dope and not report it. Or we're gonna take somebody else's dope and put it on you. Somebody gun too. We're gonna drop you off in somebody's neighborhood so your ass can get shot. Or your ass whooped. I was part of that. I was gangbanging during the 93 and 92 and all that shit. I started gangbanging in 88. So all this shit was going on, and people getting shot and all. I saw it. It was like every day somebody was gonna get shot. It was like a war zone. In my neighborhood, if you pass down the street, if a car passed down the street and its windows is rolled down, you shoot. No questions about it. In LA, if you go down the street, you have to have your windows all the way up. Anytime you go down the street that you don't know. If you don't go down the street with your windows up, it's going to be all kind of guns pointed at you. And if you look suspicious, you're going to get your ass shot at. You know what streets not to go down and none of that shit. But every time a street car go down the street, everybody pointing the gun at the car. Sometimes the car shoots, sometimes they don't. It was a war. You crept through alley. It was a war zone. So I understood it had to be a stop on the violence because the shit was going out of control. Literally 3,000 murders. 3,000 murders. Right? Okay, let me see. Let me see something right quick. Los Angeles. Murders in Los Angeles. Let me Google that. Murders in Los Angeles. Murders in Los Angeles, in LA, and 90. Let's say 91 was really going down. 91 when it was really going down, or 90, 91 and 90, right? 92 set a record, right? I know it's 91 and 92, right? We set a record for homicides, right? 2,500. They talking about 1,000 in Chicago. We talking about 2,500. We talking about 2,500. And that was on the regular. Right? Where we at? Where we at? 90s. Let's put an S on that. Let's put Let's see the murder rate. So I knew it had to be something, right? In Los Angeles, a history of crime in Los Angeles. Right? We was hitting 2,500 every year. They're talking about O.J. Simpson. We don't want to hear about O.J. Simpson. We want to know the stats, damn it. We want to know the stats. Encyclopedia. Let's go right here. Encyclopedia. Well, they ain't got it right here. 92 riots, North Hollywood, but we were going through police shootings, all kind of shit. But in 92, it was 2,500. They're talking about Chicago now with 1,000. Everybody like, oh, did you hear about that shit in Chicago? 15 people got shot. And that shit happened every fucking day, not on the weekend. Every day in Los Angeles. One of your homies got killed. Look, you go to a funeral, you can get killed going to a motherfucking funeral because you have to go down one street and everybody knew what street you had to go down. It was a street called Manchester. You go to the Inglewood Cemetery. Every time there's a funeral, it depends on where you at. You have to go through at least 10 hoods. Everybody outside waiting on your car to go by so they can shoot at your car. Everybody inside the funeral, right? You got people going and blocking all traffic, make sure nobody's shooting, shit like that. You got other motherfuckers inside the cars, you know what I'm saying, that's waiting to shoot. You at a funeral, right? And you looking for motherfuckers to shoot at. Remember, ain't no police around this motherfucker. It wasn't that many police, and I agree with that. It wasn't that many police, so you can walk around with shit all day. Police wasn't going to stop you, nothing. Wasn't that many police, right? So you driving in a funeral with 15 cars, 20 cars, and all of them got guns ready to shoot. And you're rolling through neighborhood. Each neighborhood is different. You pass one neighborhood like, okay, we out that neighborhood. But one of them is going to shoot at you. And it's going to be another casualty. Either somebody in the car or somebody outside. And not just one or two niggas. It's going to be about 5 niggas. 2,500. It's only 300 days in the motherfucking year. Think about it. If 1,000 people got killed in Chicago, right, that means it was like 3 people a day, basically. 3 people a day, right? Now, it's like if you do that in LA in basically the 90s, it's like 7.5 people a day. Like 7.5, 8.5 people a day dead. You go shoot at us, we come back and shoot at you. You come back and shoot at us, we come back and shoot at you. Until motherfucker get tired. Then you go beef with another gang. While somebody else shooting at you and you beefing with somebody else, then another gang gonna be like, okay, they beefing. Let's go shoot out their ass too. Because they vulnerable right now. They getting hit from this side, so let's go hit their ass from that side. Right? So now you get shot at by 2 gangs. And don't let you be for the wrong gang, because now your ass getting shot at by 4. Like my gang. We didn't get along with Crips or the Bloods. So when one person comes shoot at us, guess what? Everybody comes shoot at us. We had a gang that was our worst gang on the other side of the main interest, right? We had our second worst gang, right? 3 blocks away from our neighborhood, right? We had the rest of the way back that way was our side, right? But on the other side, like 3 major blocks west, right? It was another gang that beef with another clique from our gang, but they was worst enemies. Like everybody had their worst enemies in our neighborhood. And the cold thing about it, everybody worst enemies shared the same hood. You can walk across the street literally and be in your worst neighborhood, of your worst enemy's neighborhood. Just walking across the street. It was that cornered off. You know your territory. You had a block where you had a couple of block radius that you stayed in. Anything out that block radius, and I'm talking about 1 block, you out of bounds. You better be strapped. You better be looking. You better be doing something. 1 block. And it was like that all across LA. That's why there was so many murders. You can ride a bike. You can walk. You can creep the alleys. You can get your enemies quick. This shit was crazy. And I know why it had to be a crime bill, but that was violence. It wasn't drugs. You took it out on drugs. You didn't take it out on guns. Even back then, he didn't really take it out on the criminals. They took it out on guns. We're going to sign federal crimes for guns and dope and shit like that. We're going to sign that. They didn't put no plans in place for prevention or anything like that. They said, fuck it, we're going to punish them. And I had homies that's going to jail. I got homies just getting out right now from 1994. Right? Last year, this year, just hitting the ground. Turned Muslim, turned Christian, turned their life around. But they would have had the opportunity to do the same thing years ago. But if it wasn't for these crime bills, they would have had the opportunity. Putting them in jail for dope and little things like that, federal checks and, you know what I'm saying, carrying dope across the border, across state lines and this different shit. Extra circumstances, giving people 85%. I mean, it was a wild, wild west back when I was, young. Lucky to survive because my house was one of the main gangbanger houses in the neighborhood. My house was right on the corner. I basically had my own house. My grandfather gave me when I was 18. Right? I used to do all this shit, all the gangbangers, sell all the drugs. They gave out all the shit, So everybody came to my house, hung out, you know what I'm saying? And other gangbangers knew where the house was. So sometimes my house gets shot up. Police don't come. They like, basically, that's what you get. I don't call the police. They don't come. Somebody go shoot back. I mean, it was just a fucking war zone. You be outside and you can sense it like, okay, here come a car. And you can sense shootouts. You at least have one shootout every week. Be prepared for that. At least one shootout every week. On a good week, at least 5 of them. Sometimes people get hit. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes people die. Sometimes they don't. Most of the time, motherfuckers get lucky. You stand behind cars and, motherfucker drive by. You shoot back. Motherfucker runs to the corner. Ain't nobody shot. You go back in the same spot, you laughing and joking. Then the motherfuckers came through, nigga. You talking about it laughing like it's funny now. Nigga, I had the gun, nigga. Nigga, when I ran to the corner, nigga, I let loose on it. Pop, 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 pop. It's funny to you. Right? And then when you do a drive-by, it's funny to you. When you go back to the hood. Like, nigga, I caught the nigga slipping. You saw the nigga on the corner. I told you, that bitch ass nigga. I told that nigga I was gonna catch that nigga. I was looking to catch that nigga. You laughing about it. Oh, them niggas gonna be mad. You know what I'm saying? We gotta go tell the homies. Right? It's a whole war. It's funny. Because back then, that's what was our conscious level. Everything is violent. Everything is by nature. So I can understand what they're going through right now. But me being conscious and me being conscious of in situations like this and changing my view and being a grown man, I understand it because I've been through it, but I know it's fucked up. And I know what they're feeling, and that's a wrong way to feel it, and I know how to stop it. And it's not by penitentiaries and stuff like that. It's by giving them something to do. And not just school and elementary and preschool. I'm talking about giving grown men something to do because most of the shooting are done by 18, 19 to 25-year-olds. That's when motherfuckers get their most violence from 17 to 25. Growing nuts, manhoods, women, money, independent, all that. That's your turn up time. That's your time. You get hair on your nuts. You got to prevent that. You can start before that, but you have to prevent that when they turn 17. They feel like they got to prove their manhood, or they feel like they got to protect themselves, or they feel like they got to join a tribe. Because one of the reasons I joined a gang is I didn't really have no choice. My brother was gang banging, my sister was gang banging, my uncle was gang. I didn't really have a choice. But some of the people from my neighborhood didn't have a choice because they lived in the neighborhood. Either you get your ass whooped by us, or you get your ass whooped by them. Because if you go over there and you say where you live at, they will automatically think you from over there. And they gonna whoop your ass. So you might as well be from this so we can protect you. Because if you don't, we're gonna think you from over there, and then we gonna whoop your ass. So somebody gonna whoop your ass, and you're gonna get tired of getting your ass whooped, and you're gonna join somebody's gang. Either you're gonna get mad at the gang for whooping your ass in the neighborhood you live around and join their enemies, or you're gonna get mad at the enemies for whooping your ass and join the gang around your house. That's how it go. Hey, where you live? Oh, I live such. Oh, where you from? I don't gang bang. No, nigga, you live. You probably got brothers or sisters. Huh? Where you live? I live over there. You live over where? No, you don't. But the homie live over there. I live over there. Who you know over here? Oh, I know. No, you don't. You get your ass whooped. I done saw it plenty of times. So I know why the 94 crime bill was made, but I also know the effect that it had on black folks in the black community, because I know folks are still suffering today.
Well, first of all, things have changed drastically. That crime bill went and voted. The Black Caucus voted for it. Every black mayor supported it across the board.
And we took this bill up less than 2 years later in 1994, leading the charge on the bill. An African American from New York, Charles Rangel was leading the charge on that bill.
I also wrote into that bill a thing called drug courts. I don't believe anybody should be going to jail for drug use.
He's a damn lie. I don't think anybody was going to jail for drug use. Back in the days, Joe Biden wanted to lock some people up for everything. He don't give a damn what it was. Lock their black ass up.
It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons.
They should be going into
take on my son.
Rehabilitation. We should be building rehab centers to have these people housed.
He didn't say all that shit back in the days. We should be building a rehab center to get these people housed. He didn't say all of that. Right? He was locking them up. Drug courts didn't work. I knew what drug court was, right? Drug court, right, was like if you get caught with a certain amount of drugs, you can say it was for the money. If you get caught with a certain amount of drugs, you can say, hey, I smoke drugs. And they'll send you to drug court. They send you to a program and you get proposition, I think, with proposition 56 or something like that. You get a program and you go through the program and you got to take this class and shit like that. And you got to pay some fines and stuff like that. And then you're all free. Get caught again, you go to a program and go through the same thing. You go get caught again like the third time, they send you to an in-home living. Right? So you won't go to prison. So it was basically the same thing. It was a way for them to get money for people that didn't have enough time to go to prison. Because you either go to prison for long periods of time, or you don't. Or we're going to find a way, a loophole, to punish the people that sell drugs and not the people that smoke it. That was a loophole. That's when drug court and all that shit came in. To go to drug court and we can find out, whether we're going to send you to prison or we're going to send you to rehab. It wasn't a good thing. Because one thing about drug court and the reason why I have a criminal record like I have, right? Because after you get caught with drugs and it's for sales, anything after that you get caught with is for sale. They don't give a fuck if it's a nickel rock, a dime rock, back then a piece of weed, a baggie, or anything. It's sales. And that was fucked up. I could be the biggest crackhead in the world. There's some people out there that was on serious drugs, right? But before they went to jail for smoking, they went to jail for selling. So every time they go to jail now, it's for selling, right? So now, before the 94 crime bill hit, they was going to jail for smoking, right? Now all them time they were smoking, serving, right? And they was going to jail for serving. Now all of a sudden it's 10 years down the line, and now all of a sudden they smoking drugs. And they get caught with a dime rock. The court gonna see them as selling drugs, and they gonna get 9 years, 10. That's how people was getting all that time. It wasn't, you get caught with a nickel rock and we're gonna give you all this time. No, they judge you on your priors. If you've done this a couple of times, or if you robbed somebody 2 or 3 times in your past, and now you get caught with dope, we're gonna give your ass life. And people was doing that like, damn, I've been in jail for one robbery, one carjack when I was 15 years old, 18 years old. I got caught with $20 worth of dope, and now they give me life. I have been in people with prison like that in 94. Not in prison, in county jail. I didn't go to prison in 94. But I was in the county jail during that time. Get caught with anything. Mandatory 18 months. I got caught. It was a female, was in my car, and she had something. She dropped it in the car. I had 18 months. They tried to give me 18 months. Like, what the fuck? That's why you gotta stay. Back out, I was never I gotta stay with everybody. I'm not gonna have nobody in my car. I'm gonna be solo. But you had to walk by yourself, and it scared the shit out of people because the crimes was ridiculous. And this wasn't that people weren't scared of the time. They was getting scared of the minor shit they was getting caught for because they know they deserve that time. People in jail right now, just getting out for $20 worth of rock because they done a robbery in the past, or carjacking, or assault, or anything like that. You could have changed your motherfucking life around and got caught with a little dope that you smoke. Life. They keep on saying mandatory and minimals. They don't give you the mandatory and minimals, right? But they're going to give you a strike with that. They're going to say, look, man, You can take this 1 year, but you're going to have to take a strike with that. Some people are like, okay, I'll take it. If you lose it, you're going to get this much time and 2 strikes. They will scam people with them strikes because 3 strikes you out. So you go to jail, you take a deal, and like, we're going to give you 18 months and 2 strikes. People are like, okay, I'll take that. They don't know they're setting themselves up. The next time they go to jail, they're going to jail for life. They'll tell you, even look, before the shit came out in 94, they say, okay, well, you had a robbery in 88 and you had a robbery in 86. Hold on, 3 strikes wasn't out there, but still, you still got these robberies. And you just done this felony right here. You just assaulted somebody. We're going to give you life. Because the shit you done in the past. It's not, we're going to start from right here. No, anything you done in the past, from 88 to 76 to 69, we don't give a fuck how far back you done it. You do this shit in 95, you're going to jail for life. So when people say, oh, the mandatory, and when Joe Biden tried to butter up, yes, they was giving people mandatory minimums, right? But they'll give you a deal, but with a carrot and stick. We're going to give you this, but we're going to give you a strike. Some people are like, oh man, I had to take the deal and they gave me 1 strike. Some people come in, oh man, they gave me I just took a deal and now I got 2 strikes. They brought up a case from the past and they told me to take another strike. So if I do anything else, I'm getting out of life. Right? Luckily, I had no robberies. I had no anything like that, or I would have fell under that category. All mine was drugs. Selling drugs and stuff like that. It wasn't no robberies, it wasn't no assaults, it wasn't none of that. Because 1 robbery, 1 assault, and I always got a strike, right? And this is what happens when you get a strike. Say you get a strike, you come back to jail, right? Anything you get, they double your time. So now, if you got, and they add 5 years for the strike or something like that. So now, if you come to jail and you done 18 months at first, now you're doing 36 months, right? And because of your strike, they're giving you an extra 5 years or something like that. But everything is double when you get, everything is double when you get your second strike. So if you get 18 months, you get 36 months and another strike. Go to jail 1 more time, it's over with. So it wasn't the time that was getting people, it was the strikes. 3 strikes and you out. That's when Joe Biden don't talk about. And it wasn't just on the federal level, it was also on the state level. 3 strikes and you out. That was the biggest part of the crime bill that hurt so many black people because they was influencing people to take deals, right? Imagine you in court. Imagine somebody tell you, okay, we're going to give you probation and time served and let you out right now. And we're going to give you a strike. Or we're going to take you to court and you lose it. You get a strike, they double your time and give you 7 years. Right? Get out now and take a strike or take it to trial and get 7 years. Which one do you want? I'll take the strike right now and let me out. Okay, we're going to let you out. You go back to jail. Okay, you came back to jail. We'll give you another strike. Now you got 2. Man, strike your ass out. That was the most racist bill ever. My uncle right now is in jail because of the 3 strikes rule. They brought up robberies when he was 16. He was a grown man when they supposedly had committed the robberies when he was an adult. The people gave the wrong description and everything. Think about it like this. My uncle is keeping his sanity, right? But think about this, right? My uncle, and this is a true story, called me. I wish he would call me right now. My uncle's in jail. He's been in jail since 1995 for 2 robberies, supposedly. They added 3 strikes on him from when he was 16 years old, right? So they gave him life, right? Double life plus 27 years for 2 robberies. They add the strikes, they double his time, right? And they give him extra time for robbery, right? Wrong description, all kind of stuff, right? Now think about this. My uncle's been in jail since 1995 under 3 strikes law. He hasn't had a parole hearing. He hasn't heard the board. He hasn't went to the board. He's been signing appeals. He's been signing all of that. But under the 3 strikes law and stuff like that, they want him to do a certain amount of time before he even talks to the board. And that time to talk to the board ain't until 2025. Think about that. My uncle can't talk to the board about getting out of, anything like that until 2025. Now, I done had homies that went to jail after him for murder. We done saw people get out of jail for all kinds of crimes and murders and assaults and rapes and all that. Hear the board, go to the board, a family going. But my uncle hasn't got none of that. And there's a lot of people in my uncle's same situation because he was caught under that 3 strikes law. Double the time, gave him life, 25 years plus 25 years twice plus 27 years. He got 52 years for robbery. Think about it. 52 years for a robbery that the people didn't even give the right damn description about. And he keeping it standing. He's seeing people go in front of the board. He see people getting out. He see people getting out from COVID. He see people getting out for rape. He see people all that, and he's keeping his sanity. Like, damn, why me? I've been writing notes. I've been writing appeals. But because of this crime bill, my uncle got to complete a certain amount of time until they reform it. Which Joe Biden, the Democrats, still haven't done. Donald Trump done it on a federal level. My uncle don't apply to that. He applied on the state level. If it applied to the state, and Donald Trump could have done it for the state, my uncle would be out right now. But since my uncle didn't go to the feds, he's in right now.
So I want to ask, what made them do this? They must be taken off the street. That's number one.
All over the industrialized world now, countries are saying, let us put an end to state murder, let us stop capital punishment. But here what we're talking about is more and more capital punishment.
Capital punishment, right? It's capital punishment. When you put people in, think about this. There's no place worse in the world than prison, right? Because of some of the things I explained earlier, right? And capital punishment is putting harsh-ass punishments on people that don't deserve, that the crime don't match the punishment. None of this crime match the punishment of what these people are supposedly doing out there. And you hit them with all this ridiculous ass time. But Joe Biden don't give a fuck. He proud of it.
I remember when it was going on, when I was making these arguments in the late 70s, they used to call Biden's same time for the same crime provision.
But my friends, we have the highest percentage of people in America in jail per capita of any industrialized nation on earth.
That Barack and I finally reduced the disparity in sentencing, which we've been fighting to eliminate, in crack cocaine versus powder cocaine.
That's a damn lie, because it was 100-1 crack versus cocaine. But now you're trying to work on the sentences to reduce it, right? Even if you did, right, you still ain't reducing none of the sentence because, right, a lot of people that was in jail for crack cocaine, right, that was just their last strike. They was in jail for they had prior convictions and stuff like that. So you eliminating the sentences for crack cocaine doesn't really mean nothing if somebody went to jail under the 3 strikes law. It doesn't really mean shit. It may help people going to jail now, but the people that's already incarcerated and trying to get out under the Joe Biden rules, it doesn't affect them none. Because you can lower the sentence and you can do all of those shit, right? But until you get that strike off of them, until you knock that supposedly crime bill law off of them, they still gonna be in jail because they under the old law, the old federal law. I mean, the old state law, not the old federal law. Donald Trump changed the federal law.
It was a big mistake when it was made. We thought, we were told by the experts that crack, you never go back. It was somehow fundamentally different. It's not different. But it's trapped an entire generation.
With crack, you go back. Remember, with Joe Biden, he always changed his views, right? Remember, Joe Biden was a strong advocate against weed. He talking about it was a gateway drug to crack cocaine, and he would know, ask Hunter Biden. But it was a gateway drug. Now he's all for it, right? He wasn't with legalizing it, right? But now that he's a puppet, he's all for it. They even said this in the debate when he was running for president, he was against it.
Issues do matter. I have a lot of respect for the vice president. He has sworn me into my office as a hero. This week, I hear him literally say that I don't think we should legalize marijuana.
After Biden shied away from supporting an end to the federal ban on pot.
The truth of the matter is, there's not nearly been enough evidence that has been acquired as to whether or not it is a gateway drug.
That sparked a lot of blowback from marijuana advocates.
I thought you might have been high when you said it. and let me tell you, because marijuana in our country is already legal for privileged people.
Work to reform the criminal justice system.
Now he's all for it. Remember, right? He was against it, and all the Democrats know he was against it. Now he's for it. All of a sudden, right? Now all of a sudden he's running for president against Donald Trump. Now he's all about legalizing weed.
As president, I'll work to reform the criminal justice system, improve community policing, decriminalize marijuana, and automatically expunge prior marijuana convictions.
And it's
first it was a gateway drug. Now you want to eliminate all prior weed convictions. These are the same weed convictions from back in the days that you signed in the law. You trying to redo your own bill and you still haven't done it. You've been in the White House talking about if I become president. Well, you are president and you still haven't done it. I haven't heard too many niggas in the street, right? Talking about, man, that Joe Biden law got me out of prison. Everybody talking about the Donald Trump law got them out of prison. It ain't their black person. It ain't their Hispanic. It ain't their person coming out of prison thanking Joe Biden for changing the law that helped them reunite with their family. It was plenty of people thanking Donald Trump. Plenty of them, ex-crackheads, ex-homeless people, you know, ex-drug dealers, ex-gang members, all of them thanking Donald Trump. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, I would be in jail. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, I wouldn't be here. I want to thank Donald Trump for reuniting with my family. Name one motherfucker that came out of prison that Joe Biden put in prison and say, I want to thank Joe Biden for changing the law that he wrote that put me in prison. I want to thank him for rewriting it, you know what I'm saying, and give me a second opportunity. You ain't going to find one motherfucking video. Donald Trump got criticized for doing that. Oh, he's only trying to do stuff for black folks. Oh, he only trying to show he's not racist. I don't give a fuck. Why don't Joe Biden do the same thing and show he not racist and he just trying to show off for black folks or something like that? Fuck a Supreme Court justice that lock motherfuckers up. Put somebody in to get motherfuckers out. Huh? I haven't Google it if you want to. People thanking Donald Trump for getting them out of jail. Google it. There's not one person. I mean, Kanye West and Kim Kardashian went to like, this person need to be out, that person need to be out. Look at this case. Donald Trump, let him out. Change the law. Change this. Reform this. Joe Biden been in office a whole motherfucking year, and all the shit he promised you about legalizing weed and decriminalizing and expunging people record and shit. Ain't none of that shit going. He done promised you all that shit. They still locking motherfuckers up for weed in some states. All his promises, he ain't came through on none of them.
The war on drugs has been a war on black and brown people. And so let me just say this. With more African Americans under criminal supervision in America than all the slaves since 1850.
Think about this. More black people are under criminal supervision. I mean, more black people got probation officers and parole officers, right? And officers at prisons and prison guards and county jail guards and stuff like that. You have a lot of people that's overseeing black people, right? It was the same way back in the days. The same exact thing. You had people overseeing black people as slave labor. There's never been this much supervision of black folks in the history of civilization. And we know the probation officer and the parole officers not doing stuff, you know what I'm saying? That's why niggas getting out and doing shit again on probation or parole, but they supposed to be supervised. And let's take people off of probation and let's leave probation and parole off. Let's talk about people in prison that are supervised. Alone. It's been more people supervised in prison that's ever been supervised as slaves, especially black men.
Do not roll up into communities and not talk directly to issues that are going to relate to the liberation of children, because there are people in Congress right now that admit to smoking marijuana.
Come on, Harris.
Our kids are in jail right now for those drug crimes. And so these are the kind of issues that mean a lot to our community. And if we don't have somebody authentically, we lost the last election.
And so all of this stuff about the crime bill, people talking about, oh, you just giving Joe Biden cover. I'm not giving Joe Biden cover. I've explained to you why I voted for it. Go ask Joe Biden why he did.
Ask Joe!
We've beaten South Africa. We've beaten the Soviet Union. What do we have to do? Put half the country behind bars?
You're looking at the fellow who was one of the primary architects of the Sentencing Commission.
Mr. Speaker, instead of talking about punishment and vengeance, let us have the courage to talk about the real issue. How do we get to the root causes of crime?
You know what the basic premise of the Sentencing Commission is? I know the presiding officer knows. It was the first time in 80 years we rejected the notion that the condition of sentencing must be related to how long it would take to rehabilitate.
And Mr. Speaker, I've got a problem. I've got a problem with a president and a Congress which allows 5 million children to go hungry, 2 million people to sleep out on the streets, cities to become breeding grounds for drugs and violence.
I'm the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release.
Right? Because he's saying we don't know if these people are faking rehabilitation, right? We don't know if these people are really rehabilitated, right? So how are we going to solve that problem? We're going to give them all their time because we don't know if they rehabilitated, right? So we're going to knock that equation out the box, right? Rewind it one more time. He's saying we don't know if they rehabilitated. We can't tell if they rehabilitated. But what we is going to do, right, is we're going to give them extra time, you know what I'm saying, just in case they are rehabilitated or not. We're going to give them all that motherfucking time, 85%. We don't give a damn. That's what he's saying. This is the harsh time Joe Biden is saying, because it's the thing. You get 35%, you get 50%, or you get 85%, right? 35%, they put programs in, you get good work time. That's if you ain't got no strikes, you know what I'm saying? You can reduce your sentence from 50% to 35%. If you get a strike, you got to do 85% of your time. There's no such thing as getting 50%. There's no such thing as getting 85%. They just recently knocked the 85% out right now. Now you can get the 85%, get 50%, right? But first, 85% was getting 85%, and there was no time knocked off, no good time, work time, no none of that. Right? If you got a strike. That's one thing about getting a strike too. You don't get halftime or nothing. You got to do 85% of your time for the same crime somebody done that's getting 50%. So in other words, you know, if you didn't commit any certain kind of violent felonies, which a lot of white people didn't do, you wasn't going to get them strikes. Black people who committed a lot of crimes when they're in their younger age will get them strikes and will get that extra 85%. And that 85%, right, for the same crime can be an access of 3 years. Right? Because if I got 10 years and I got halftime, I'm doing 5. But if I got 10 years and I got 85%, I'm doing 8.5 for the same fucking crime. Right? And what Joe Biden said is, we don't give a fuck about they rehabilitated. We're going to give them the whole 85%.
Drugs and violence.
I'm the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And even when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why. So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, the federal system, you serve 85% of your time.
And the crime bill itself did not have mandatory sentences except for 2 things. But it had 3 strikes and you're out, which I voted against in the crime.
But you voted against it, but it was still in the crime bill. And I don't really know if you voted against it, right? Because the whole crime bill was a package deal. I voted against 3 strikes. That was the worst thing about about the 94 crime bill, because we don't call it the 94 crime bill in LA. We call it the 3 strikes bill. Don't nobody know it as the 94 crime bill, right? If you ask somebody in LA what the 94 crime bill is, they ain't gonna know what the fuck you talking about. But you ask them what the 3 strikes law is, I bet you they know.
Crime bill, but it had a lot of other things in it that turned out to be both bad and good. I wrote the Violence Against Women Act, that was part of it, the assault weapons ban, and other things that were good. What I was against was giving states more money for prison systems that they could build, state prison systems.
And that's a lie. He wanted more prison systems. He said it early, and they're about to say it again.
And you have 93 out of every 100 people in jail now is in a state prison, not in a federal prison, because they built more prisons.
And that is, unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I give myself 3 more minutes.
Let's demand that every man, woman, and child in this country have a decent opportunity and a decent standard of living.
The mistake came in terms of what the states did locally. What we did federally, we said...
Right, and the states, right, and he's talking about what the states done locally, right? And that's what's affecting most of the people. Donald Trump turned around the feds. You didn't. You had plenty of time. You didn't do nothing with the feds. Donald Trump done that. I don't know. Nobody talking about the Biden administration or Barack administration let me out of jail, got me out of jail. No one. You done it on the federal and the state. Now it's the states are not doing it because every state didn't have the 3 strikes law. California did. And like I said, there's still people in jail suffering from what Joe Biden said. I didn't vote for that because he know that's the worst part of the fucking law, the 3 strikes law, the 3 strikes. I mean, damn all the guns, or I mean, assault weapons, damn all that. They make you look at the big things. Damn the women, the Violence on Women Act, damn all of that, right? Because they want you to look at that. But the major part of the bill was the 3 strikes law. So they can talk all that shit, but they stay away from talking about the 3 strikes law. Talk about that. Who put that in? Why was that signed? Who put that into the package? 85%, double your time, 3 strikes, 25 years. Who put that shit into the package? That's the worst time. All the other shit added up. I mean, people probably could have dealt with that. I mean, say you go to jail and you go to jail, you get 50%. Next time you go to jail, you get 85%. Next time you go to jail, you get 100%, right? But don't give a motherfucker life. If you give him 3 years, okay, let him do half on this time. He fuck up again, give him 5 years. Let him do 4 on that time. He fuck up again, give him 10. Let him do the whole 10 on that time. Don't say, oh, your 3rd time, you gonna get life. Every time after that, the nigga get 10 years. That'll hold him. But now you want to give a motherfucker life for mistakes. Dang, and there's so many black people that's fucked up. That's never had a second chance. The worst part of the shit was a 3 strikes law. But they sugarcoat you and beat all around the bush. We want assault weapons. We want this. And we want drugs and want this. But all that shit accumulated, added up to people getting struck the fuck out.
It was, you remember, George, it was all about the same time for the same crime.
Because
the same time for the same crime didn't mean nothing, right? You got the same time for the same crime, right? And that was true. But then you doubled the sentences and added incentives on it, right? Because back in 94, you also had gang injunctions, right? You get shot, or you shoot somebody in the act of a crime, you get charged with the bullets, you get charged with the gun, you get charged with everything. 15 for this, a year for every bullet, all that shit, enhancements and everything, right? So Joe Biden is lying.
Literally have not been socialized. They literally have not had an opportunity. We should focus on them now, not out of a liberal instinct for love, brother, and humanity, although I think that's a good instinct.
What I had done as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, took the 10 Circuit Courts of Appeals, took some really brilliant lawyers working for me in judiciary. We did a study, and we determined what happens if, for the first, second, third offense, for any crime in the criminal justice system.
First, second, and third offense. First, you basically get a slap on the wrist and you get a strike. Second, you know what I'm saying? You get double the time, you get 85%, and you got to do 85%. Third, you get struck out. So you got a team of experts and appeal lawyers that come up with this 3 strikes law, because he said one crime, 2 crimes, and 3 crimes. He's talking about strikes.
At the federal level, if you're a black man, it's the first time you committed robbery. How long would you go to jail on average? If you're a white man, how long? Black man would go to jail on average 13 years. White man, 2 years. I go down the list of every single crime. So we set up a sentencing commission.
He set up a sentencing committee, but he's not responsible for the 3 strikes. But he set up a sentencing committee. What a sentencing committee? What the fuck do a sentencing committee do? They sentence people. Nigga, you was part of the 3 strikes, but you trying to lie around it. You sentence people. This amount, and they doing it for a third amount, for a third time, this amount.
We didn't set the time. Every single solitary maximum was reduced in there. But what happened was, it became the same time for the same crime.
Everything was reduced, right? Everything was reduced, but it wasn't. They reduced it, but when you get arrested for a second time, like I say, they double your time, right? And give you 85%. They gave my uncle life plus 27 years.
So it said you have to serve between 1 and 3 years. They ended up becoming much lower. Black folks went to jail a lot less than they would have before, but it was a mistake.
It was a mistake.
And they say, we're getting tough on crime. If you want to get tough on crime, let's deal with the causes of crime. Let's not keep putting poor people into jail and disproportionately punishing blacks.
And Bernie said it right there. Disproportionately punishing blacks. That sums up the crime bill right there. Every law put up in there was aimed at and targeted at blacks. Not one was targeted at white folks. Every law, keep 85%, strikes, powder cocaine to crack cocaine ratio, assault weapons charge, gang enhancements, you name it. Everything was catered towards black people or people that lived in the neighborhood that couldn't afford lawyers or couldn't afford representation, or wasn't of a certain class that they got benefited. They got benefited. They got the benefit. You know what I'm saying, of being of a certain class. There's plenty of people in jail for not having that opportunity. Disproportionately punishing blacks. I mean, and like I said, I experienced it. I know exactly what they're talking about. I know the inside and outsides of it. I was a part of it. My uncle's a part of it. My whole family was a part of it. One of my brothers got out. He was a part of it. I got 2 little brothers, that right. They different from me, right? They got arrested. They got arrested for possession of drugs. And they got arrested on that drug court program that Joe Biden been in, right? I think my brothers combined, my 2 younger brothers combined, right? I think each of them been over to jail over 40 times. Each of them been over to jail. Go to jail for this, get out, crack, they get out, probation violation, get out, robbery, get out. You know what I'm saying? Because they have the substance thing behind them, and every time they go to jail, they get special treatment because they considered drug users and stuff like that. So they don't get the harsh crime as somebody like me who's not considered a drug user. They get lucky. For the shit they go to jail for, they get a week. I go to jail for the same thing. I get 5 years. I've been in prison 2 times. They've been in prison at least 40 times. They're going to give me more time because they consider me different from them. And my crime different from theirs. Think about it. My uncle been in jail for robbery since 1995. That's 30 years. It's been people that committed murder after him got out of jail a couple of years ago because they didn't fall under the 3 strikes law. Now, if they would have murdered somebody and they would have done some robberies earlier in their life, it would have fell up under it. They voted the shit out, but it's too late because they haven't reformed the law for the people that's already in prison. That's who fucked. But anyway, I'm out this bitch. I got shit to do. I'm going to see y'all on the flip side. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. And don't forget to send some donations. I forgot to send it up. You know, put it up to keep this channel going and keep this channel rocking and shit like that. We need donations. So I'm out this bitch. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't donated, go ahead and donate to my Cash App. I'm going to put it up on one of the things later on. You know what I'm saying? But I'm out this bitch. See you on the next video. Crime in Los Angeles, Biden administration, war on drugs.